Okay, take two. Hopefully this will start. And if not, then I will switch over to my phone. All right, looks like we have go. All right, so let's begin as we usually do by just breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, and in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, invite your mind, body, and energy to relax, 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 relax. Let your toes relax and your feet relax. Ankles relax and your shins relax. Let your knees relax and your thighs relax. Hips relax and your stomach relax. Fingers relax and your hands relax. Wrists relax and your elbows relax. Chest relax and your shoulders relax. Throat relax and your face relax. And your mind, body, and energy relax, 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 relax. And as you move into a space of complete relaxation, we open up your energies to the ancestors, loved ones, and friends to come together today to heal and guide us and lift us to the highest version of ourselves in the light of the universe, so you may hear what you need to hear, know what you need to know, connect how you need to connect, and be what you need to be for your highest and best good, and the highest and best good of all involved, as we open up space to heal and harmonize. All right, let's look at that beautiful moon last night. Let's look at how to love. And page 48, how to love from Thich Nhat Hanh. Love is a beautiful word, and we have to restore its meaning. When we say, I love hamburgers, we spoil the word. We have to make the effort to heal words by using them properly and carefully. True love includes a sense of responsibility and accepting the other person as she is, with all her strengths and weaknesses. If you only like the best things in a person, that is not love. You have to accept her weaknesses and bring your patience, understanding, and energy to help her transform. This kind of love brings protection and safety. That is beautiful. And it does weave in to what I wanted to talk about today, which is the concept of alignment. And, we've been talking about this for a while, this idea of magnetization and how we magnetize things towards us in a way that amplifies our world to align in a better way. And, you may have heard me discuss it before, but how a magnet technically works, or that the ions of the magnet all align in a particular direction. So it calls other ions that align in that way. And obviously, I'm not a scientist, I'm simplifying this very easily, to pull in that direction. So everything aligns in a certain way, and a pattern is formed of this direction of alignment. And then everything that falls in that pattern of alignment connects to it. So it magnetizes. We also know a magnet, if it's the opposing side, the repelling side. It will push things away. So when we think of that in our own interior energy system, we think we're creating this alignment within ourselves in order to call towards us things that align with us. If we have a strong core, if we have a strong sense of alignment within ourselves, then those things that do not match us are repelled, they're pushed away, they're released. And so we think of that and what that means as we are doing our own personal work. Well, the other part of this amplification process, this magnetization that we're in right now, is knowing your heart-centered why. Because when we're in our heart-centered why, then that in itself becomes the base of the magnet. Why do I want to be successful at that job? Well, if it's to make money, that's outside of yourself. Like, what does success in your heart center say? Not in your head means money, a better life. So just the belief, like that, well, the thought of that. But in your heart, like, what will that do? How does that support your soul self? How does that connect to your authentic self? How does that create trueness and realness within yourself? And therefore you can attach other things. You can create that magnetization in those ways. So the first thing we do is identify the why. Why will this help me be the best version of myself? Why will this land in my heart in a way that touches my soul? And then we pay attention. So the actions of alignment, so to say, is paying attention to how all of the parts of yourself are on the same page or on the same team, we could say. So we look at our thoughts and do our thoughts and our words match, or are they contrary? Do our words and our actions match, or are they contrary? Once we create a series of actions, it becomes a habit. And is that habit in alignment, or is it contrary? And we can use learned behaviors. We can use, habits, compulsive behavior, compulsive energies in those ways. And then we know that those thoughts and words and habits become our character, who we are, who people see us as, how they identify us, and who we believe, the narrative that we create surrounding those things. So does that match my heart center? And then eventually, when all of those compile, that becomes your path plan. That becomes how you move through life and the direction that you're taken in and the way that you interact with others. So while everyone, you've heard me say this, I'm sure, we can't control our first thought, we can't control our first emotion, but what we have empowerment over is what we do with them when they rise up. So if we have a thought that is not in alignment with our heart center, then instead of pretending like we don't have the thought or allowing the thought to run wild and looking the other way, we examine that thought. And, I always use the critic saying, like, who do you think you are? And so if the critic says, who do you think you are? Then the soul self answers, I think that I'm someone who's doing my best, who has these skill sets, who's trying to focus in this direction, who has this experience behind me, who has this wisdom. And so we bring it over to align with our heart center instead of allowing our words and our actions, our habits, our character, the narrative, all of those things to supplement the anti-self or the unhealthy self. We bring that unhealthy thought or emotion and we say, okay, how do I love it? How do I support it? Seeing that it may not be the only truth or the truth. Like, how do I bring it over to a healthy, balanced place and love it enough that it transmutes and becomes a more healthy positioning for me? So we take those thoughts and we align them to our words. We make sure that if my inner critic is saying, you're not deserving, that my words in the world are confident, not fake, just confident. If I have trouble with my words, I'm always saying I'm sorry a lot, or I am belittling myself in a funny way, or whatever that is, then if my even if my actions are bold and I have a lot of experience in my actions, if my words don't match that, then that's not going to be in alignment. And so we pay attention to those things, and which one needs to adjust? Which one am I trying to bring into my heart centered why? Which one needs to be loved so it can grow and transmute in order to match the rest of me, to match my heart, to match my soul, to match my authentic self? And so that's really what alignment is. That's when we're talking about getting into alignment. Yes, it's energetic alignment, but each one of those things we just talked about has a place in your energy field. Each one has an action, a physical position in your world. Each one has an emotional connection that ties those two together. And so when we're working in that trilogy, and we can say, like, is my energy aligned with my actions, my physical actions? Are my physical actions aligned with my emotions? All of that is a way of saying that. It's like, if I start in my heart centered why at my soul, then I'm in my energy body in that space. And if my energy body and my thoughts and words match, then we move into the emotional body. And then if my emotional body matches, then my physical body will match, which are my habits, my actions, my character, the hats I wear. And then that brings us back to the energy body, back into the soul, so our path plan alignment can be what it's meant to be. And so I know that sounds like a lot, but the truth of it is, when we do all the work we've been doing all this time together, when we think about how we're staying our authentic self, how we're loving ourselves, how we're knowing who we are, the 3 5s, all of those things are meant to help you connect to that alignment, so that which is meant to be in your soul self or your heart centered self, that is what the magnet is. You're creating a stronger magnet. Now, the other thing that I know I will always say, and that I remind myself often, is that we all deserve grace. I deserve grace, you deserve grace. Even people we may not like can deserve grace. And what grace gives us is space to be able to be accountable and allow for change. And so, say I have a week where my thoughts are not kind to myself and they are not good, and I'm frustrated and cranky, and my thoughts and my emotions are out of control. It doesn't mean that suddenly my entire destiny has been thrown off. It just means, like, hey, I better pay attention. I better, look at this in a way that allows for me to balance something out, figure out what's under that, where's the dissatisfaction, what's the core truth of that, and then how do I connect in that way, but also give myself grace to go, I'm human who signed on to be a human having a human experience. So some days my thoughts are not going to be perfect, and tomorrow I get another chance to try to align those thoughts and words and actions and habits and character and destiny path alignment into one. And so it's not a win-lose sort of thing. It's more like, where are you on the scale of heart-centered alignment and unskillfulness, and how do you keep just maneuvering through this? Because we're like, the other part of that is we signed on to be human, which means we're going to be human till the day we're not human anymore, which means there's no guarantee that you will never have an skillful thought. There's no guarantee that you will never be cranky, no matter how enlightened you are. And so, what we're trying to do is to get into our heart center so much that every part of life is joy. Every part of life is gratitude. Every part of life is love. And that's what alignment does. And so that's what we're striving for. So I hope that this inspired you and invited you to think about your alignment and why alignment's important to you. I know I've been saying it, but I'm definitely working on a heart-centered why free little journaling thing that sometimes these things take time, and we're in divine timing right now, so I'm allowing the universe to let it open up and into what it's meant to be. But I will have some tools coming out that will be helpful to help you in identifying your heart-centered why through some journaling. We're only going to pull one card today, and that is from the Art of Energy. And this will be a universal card for everybody, so this is the message for you all. Card 70, the very last card in the deck. I love it. Card 70 is, let me get there. I don't know that I've ever pulled 70 for Love Church. I am equals we are. Bring awareness to how you interact and connect in community. And then we go to the book, and the book has awareness and a little more detail and an energy action. Bring awareness to how you interact and connect in community. Do you have a strong support system of community? Have you engaged in your community lately? What actions are you taking to involve yourself in the energy of community? Energy action. Sit quietly in a space of opening your heart to one of the following: causes you believe in, hobbies or skills that you gain joy from, groups or organizations you respect, or interests that you would like to enhance within yourself, or all four. When you tap into one, can you identify if you are active in this area or passive? Is there a way to become more involved in a balanced way, contributing as well as receiving? Take one action to enhance your connection in this area. That is beautiful. And the truth is, all things are energy, and energy are all things. And so we are part of a community, whether we recognize it or even want to be or not. As a being on this planet, contributing to the energy of this planet, there is expansiveness and interconnectivity. And if we can honor and respect that and realize that not only do we play a part, but it also supports us in a lot of ways. So just think of that interaction there, especially when you're thinking about your alignment. All right, I hope that you are all well and in good spirits, and that you feel blessed, and that you're whole, and that you always be your soul.